Hello, welcome back to Armoured Warfare. Today we're going to have a look at the Tier 4 artillery, the one of two, the M109. The other's the God Disco or something like that. Let's have a look. Govstika, perhaps. I'm sure I've not pronounced that right. Do apologise. So this is the M109. And it's, well, you don't really need to look at the stats. So DPM is absolutely awful, pretty much par for the course for artillery in this game. Fairly inaccurate, no armour, slow. Everything's worse than most other tanks really. So probably they're more of a utility vehicle, so they can drop smoke, and I think they're high levels phosphor rounds which illuminate enemies. They do a lot of module damage if they hit, but the DPM is actually terrible. So as you can see, they only start at tier 4. Basically, as you grind through tiers 1 to 3, you should earn enough XP to unlock the first one. So as we can see, there's no tier 5 here. I think that's the same in the other line. So this is a very common self-propelled gun. American, of course. Used all over the world. And let's go back to the garage. Let's have a look at the service. So the Commander's one you can unlock, I think, and this seems to be the best one for this. So it has module damage caused to enemies increased by 20%, aim speed improved by 10%, ammo swap speed increased by 20%. So it's not one of the two you get originally, I think you basically just unlock it eventually. Might be linked to when you unlock an artillery, but I can't recall for sure. So ammo, basically got high explosive. Now at this tier you only get a smoke round, as I said. At the higher tiers I think you also get I think it's called a phosphor round, which illuminates enemies within its range. A smoke round pretty much does what you would expect, but at this level you're unlikely in PvE at least to use it much, because people just go so fast and move around. But I've got some loaded just in case. So otherwise crew, everything else, retrofits. I've not bothered with any of these. I don't think they're particularly worth the money. Does a bit more damage. It's okay, but certainly things like mobility and armour are a waste of time really. If you're seen and being hit, you're probably going to die. So as you can see, I'm 98%, and I should have next game unlock the next artillery. So I don't think there's anything much else to look at. So here, as you can see, we've got a retrofit slot. Got better diesel engines, which I've not bothered paying for, as I don't really see the point. You don't really generally move around that much, and credits can be quite hard to come by. Now the one thing I would say about this game is it does seem more of a grind than, say, World of Tanks to advance. Hard to compare to War Thunder, but I think generally it's very, very slow. So at tier 4 you begin to grind to a halt. At tier 5, which I'm on now with the Chieftain, it's really, really slow. I think far more slow than the tier 5 in World of Tanks, I have to say. But anyway, so let's have a game with the M109, and there are certainly problems with the artillery in this game, I think. So let's start a medium contract. I hope it's a decent map, which is one of the problems. Some of these maps are very, very unfriendly for artillery. You almost might as well not be there. And if it's one of those, I'm really not going to be able to show much of what artillery do in this game. So, Operation Phalanx, I think that's a decent map for artillery. Thankfully we're not the only tier 4, which can be a real issue in the PvE. So artillery is very, very, very map dependent. So for some reason, well, I think they've probably accurately reproduced the arc of a proper artillery unit, but the trouble is these maps are so short. Instead of the miles away I think they would normally fire, you're actually a kilometre away, and that means, oh, it's a good map, and that means the arc on this gun is very, very low, not much difference to any other tank, so any small obstacle will stop you being able to fire, and it's very, very frustrating. This map's definitely one of the better ones. I'll probably get spotted at some point though, as it's quite small. So of course in real life artillery would not be here, they'd be miles away. So there we are. So if you played World of Tanks, there's a similar aiming reticle, very slow. So you really need to let it go all the way down to fire. Let's risk that. So splash damage. Now when I get a moment I'll show you the firing arc. So I can't even hit that. Go. So we're quite close. There we go. So fortunately this is definitely one of the better maps for artillery in the rotation. What you really want is lots of enemy tanks to bunch together, as splash damage is quite considerable in this game. Oh dear, already being hit. So you see if he goes behind this truck I won't be able to hit him because the arc is so low. See, I can't hit him now. So I just go over here, I might be able to splash him. Get rid of some of that. No, I still can't hit him. I might die in a minute if they don't kill him. Come on, go back a bit. Let's see if I can get him. Nope, just a bit too late. So, for example, if there's a tank behind here, I can only hit him if he's there. Oh dear, there's something spotting me and they've not seen it. Oh, there's an artillery. So one of the other things in this game is you're basically playing against other artillery when you're in artillery, if there's some on the map. So every time you fire, your location is pinged out on the map, and I think it's the third time you fire, your location, if you haven't moved, you'll be shown where you are. So I've actually got enemy artillery firing at me, should be spotted in a second. And he's dead. So if you watch the map, you'll see something flash up if there was another artillery there, but I don't think there is. So when there's lots of artillery on the map, you have to keep moving. Oh, I hit the pipe. It's very, very frustrating. It's so easy to hit things in the way. Even if you're aimed here, you can hit that pipe. Sometimes you just wonder what on earth's happening. Oh, that was a nice hit. I think they did buff the damage in one of the last patches, because I'm sure it's much higher than it used to be. But you'll never do anywhere near as much DPM as any other vehicle. So let's see where we can hit. We can't. Ah. Is he going to be dead before we hit him? Quite possibly. 8 damage. Oh well. So I think we've won this map fairly easily, which generally stood at this tier, this level maps. Do a bit of damage, please. And that hit something somewhere. I don't know where, but enemy destroyed. So let's just fire this shot. So you can see how high the gun's elevated. It's almost flat. And so as I said, this is one of the few good maps where you can actually hit most things, but other maps, there are so many buildings, you just might as well not bother. They seem to enjoy spawning vehicles the other side of buildings which you have no chance. And you can move and try and shotgun, but again, it's not like World of Tanks where you one-shot something. If you're close to something, they'll kill you long before you can kill them, because the DPM is so much higher on every other vehicle. But sometimes on some maps you really do have to just ride about and try and shotgun, do a bit of damage before you die, because it's really no point hanging back and trying to hit things on some of the maps. So let's go back again. Oh, there we are. Oh, it's quite a way away. We might not be able to hit him. Can we? Yep. Amazingly. Oh, nice. Like that hit. So again, that's quite high. That's one of the highest gun arcs you'll get. But clearly when there's big buildings, which there are in some of these maps, you cannot. They just completely block you for miles. That was another artillery. As you can see him splash, sorry, blink when he fires. So we're blocked completely just there. Don't know why, whether it's a tree or a hill. Perhaps it's that pipe. And as I say, this is a very good map for artillery. Probably the best, to be honest. There really are one or two maps you might as well not play. You might as well just stop. We'll just go with the tanks, get a couple of hits, rather than just sit at the back and be able to do nothing. I mean, perhaps at higher tier, the artillery is a bit more mobile, does a bit more damage, but so there's still something somewhere. So as you can see, there's a gap there because there's a little bit of slope. That actually gives us a blind spot, just that tiny bit of slope. So it can be very, very frustrating indeed. I'm not sure I can really recommend it. It's probably one thing that is more fun in PvP. There we go.
Great job, Lab Company. The refinery is under our control and the explosives have been disabled.
So far the maps in PvP I've played on have been a lot more open. But I'm sure there's some bad maps as well. But of course, if there's more artillery on the enemy team, they're just going to kill you very quickly. Although so far it seems to be quite balanced. But 2-to-1 artillery will be very imbalanced and you'll die very quickly. As you see, you just have to keep moving. And if you have to keep moving, of course, your DPM goes down to nothing. You might as well not be there. So while I think the artillery in this game is good, it really is that arc of fire which just kills it. It's so easy to get into cover. So what have we got? Teamwork. So you do seem to get decent XP. I'm not sure quite how that's done, worked out. That's not a bad game for 2000 damage at this tier. So I'm not quite sure why we're second. Probably module damage, perhaps. So we did 21, so that's probably 21 components destroyed, that might be it. No, doesn't seem to be. Seems to give 1 experience, so I'm really not sure. Perhaps there's a modifier just for artillery. I think there must be. So 4 kills, 7 assists, that's not bad actually. And that's given us 100%, so we can unlock, if I wanted to, or had the money. But I don't, so that's here for Palmeria. Never heard of that. Developed by Italy. So, damage per shot seems less. DPM tiny bit higher. Otherwise, pretty much the same. No armor, slow. Well, it does have a bit of armor, but not anything to talk about. So, that's artillery. So, at the minute, unless they... Oops, didn't want to do that. Unless they change the gun arc, it can be very frustrating rather, and very, very map dependent. So, it's up to you. I think I'll stick with the other tanks on the whole. So, bye bye for now, and I'll see you again next time.